Hi, my name is
Hi,
Vicki.
everybody. Sorry, Vicki.
No, that's okay.
Hi, my name is Donna,
And
and
it
it's
is
your
your
time.
time.
And today it's your time to, I guess, to listen.
It is your time to get involved in Donna's story.
There you go. That's good.
Yeah.
But if it was any other day, it would just be it's your time to expand.
To explore.
Good, good. Discover yourself. That's a
That's
good
right.
one. That's a good one, too. So, so today is my turn to be interviewed,
Mhm.
and I wrote a transcript, so I'm going to be reading from the transcript, and but I think I got everything in here. I was really excited about explaining all this, so this is going to be fun. I love to talk about myself, so that works
Well,
out.
I found out it was pretty fun.
It
just
is,
to,
it
just
is,
to talk about
and
yourself.
yeah, and next we can interview each other with new interview questions about our spiritual journey, which is what this is about. So
Because we have new stuff that happens every week.
that's oh boy, do we ever we we are like Lucy and Ethel.
That's right. On the candy machine. Did you get that one? Did you get that one? Did you get that one? Did you get...
That was funny. That was a funny one. We could reenact all the Lucy's. No,
You
I'm
probably
kidding.
could.
Yeah, we could.
I
I'm
like the
sure.
Vegemita vitamin. That's my favorite.
Oh yes, I love that one. Oh, Lucy, I love Lucy. Well, everybody loves Lucy.
Yes.
Anyway, so I'm ready, and I
Oh,
did write all them down. So, but you can
okay.
still
Well,
ask me.
should I start with the first question that we always
Yes,
start with? How did
yes.
we meet?
How did we meet? It was well, first in Tucson, I met up with Catherine. This is my second question. So the first one was, how did you discover Ann Tucker? I thought that's the one I answered first.
It doesn't really much matter now, does it?
So it'll kind of roll into the other one. So anyway, so how did I discover Ann Tucker,
How
you
did you
ask?
discover Ann Tucker? That's a fascinating question.
It was through her YouTube channel. It came up when I was researching channeling, and she was just so genuine and so down to earth and the same frequency, I guess, as I am. There are so many other channelers that I watch and that I think are great, but she's to me she just touches my heart, and like I said, same frequency, and she's always so helpful, and her explanation of things, the way that she words it, I understand what I can understand her, whereas other ones I have to maybe look at things a different way, but she says it straightforward, and it may be that it's the same voice that my helpers have. Maybe my helpers are angels. I don't know. I think they say light beings, so they could be anything. So anyway, so and I know that there are so many great channelers out there, and I still watch many new ones or people that have been around forever that are new to me anyway. And I know that channels are opening up. There will be many, many more channelers in the future in different ways and in as many different ways as there are channelers because everybody's different. So it's exciting. So, but then how did we all meet? I met with Catherine in Tucson because she's in Tucson, and she was the first one who was chatting with Gail on Ann's live Friday live on Facebook, and I think Catherine said, "Gail, you're in Arizona. I'm in Arizona too," and they just started chatting, and then from there, Catherine set up a chat group that was for Arizona, and she actually set it up the day that I met her. So she was doing all that on her phone when I walked into the coffee shop and I met her. And another girl who's an Anne fan, but I haven't seen her since then. She hasn't come to anything since then. But it was so nice to just sit there and be able to talk about like how we talk, everything that you want to talk about. And that was pretty eye opening for me. And Catherine has since then set up other chat groups, and then from there, between her and Gail, they set up luncheons, And so I saw the pictures of everybody in Phoenix meeting up for lunch, and I wanted to be there too, but things wouldn't, didn't work out that way. But then on the chat, in the Arizona chat, Gail, when Anne said she was coming to Phoenix, everybody was getting tickets, and I was saying, well, I can't afford that. I don't have a car to drive there at the time, and it turned out that Gail said, well, I have a BOGO ticket, so we were like sharing, and then I said, well, I'd love to go, but I don't have a way to get there, and Catherine said, uh, piped in and said, "I'll drive you. I'm going." So that's how I ended up going, and it was all and the angels set all of that up. I know they did, and that was perfect. So then when we met in Phoenix, you were sitting in front of me. No, first I met you at the lunch table. Everybody sat down to have a bite, and you were across from me. And we were talking in with Candace. I got to know Candace, and I felt like I knew all you guys my whole life. And then after Anne did her channeling, you and I started talking. And then later on the chat, on the Arizona chat, Vicki started posting things and I was answering them. And so it was like we had our own little chat, but it was in the Arizona group. So we had to take it out of there. We had our own chat, and then I don't remember if it was you or me. We said we should get together and I want to meet you, kind of a thing. And I said, well, I'm in Tucson, and you said I'll drive here. So Vicky came here, and we found a place to meet up, and then Meg came. Meg Galanti, I think is her last name. She came also, and as we were, she had an issue, and we were talking to her about it, and it was like Vicky and I just bounced off each other, just like we do here. Vicky said something, and I said yes, and then this, and then you said yes, and then we went back and forth. And by the time Meg left, she felt like she'd had a healing of some sort, and and was saying, "Wow, you guys are really something." And at one point um, during that get together, you said, "Gee, we should have a podcast." And I said, "I've always wanted to have a podcast. I've tried, and I've been working at it." And so here we are. It's just brought us all together. So yeah, I wanted to do a podcast for a couple of years, and I did some videos here and there, but they weren't as exciting and fun as when
Well,
I'm doing it
I
with you.
I always felt under the right circumstances I could be kind of entertaining, and you bring out those circumstances in
That
me,
that
hopefully.
exactly. Yes. Oh,
Anyway.
definitely. And you bring that out in me too. And it's always good to have somebody to bounce off of, and sometimes one of us is funny and the other one's the straight man, and we kind of, it goes back
Hmm.
and forth. Not like we're comedians, but we want to use, I think we want to use humor to help other people open up and understand that this,
And
spiritual
and we
journey.
have we have a joy.
Yes,
We
that's
just
it.
have a joy for this, for for our friendship, for the road that we're going down. We just have a joy, and
We
I think
do.
it
And
comes out.
like Anne has. So yeah, that's
Hmm.
great. So yeah, so that's how we met, and so now we do this every Sunday. Uh, and
So,
and and I'm having fun. I mean, we this isn't the only time we talk to each other. We chat back and forth all week long, and I think that's great. It's like having a spiritual friend.
yes, it is. So, shall we get into your journey?
Yes, my spiritual journey. I There is so much to it that it could take all day, but
But
I
we
will
don't
just,
have all day.
no, we don't have all day, so I shortened it to like 3 paragraphs. Um, my I've always been drawn to the earth and nature. Not that I'm a hiker or a farmer or anything like that. I just have always been fascinated by ants and the wildlife and birds and mostly rocks, but everything else, and anything that had to do with Earth and the sun, the stars, the moon. So any moons actually. So I guess they say you're an Earth girl, I guess. But I've always felt like there was more to life than just work home, and I've always had that yearning within me that there has to be something else. But anytime I voiced it to anyone, they said I'm being a Pollyanna. You have to work. You have to do. Not that I wasn't going to work, I do, and I have had many jobs, but and I understand that that's how we make money. But I knew there was more to life, and so my whole family actually was pretty open. My paternal grandmother was I guess they call a psychic card reader. Back then, she read tea leaves way back, and she's been gone a long time. Um, but I remember her when I was really little, and she passed that. She and her husband passed that on to my dad. Then, and they all were interested in Edgar Casey and his work, and Unity, which is a Christian foundation, Christian ministry, I guess you call it. Um, but it was founded in 1889 by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, and it was because of transcendentalism, and it was called like the New Thought movement. So it kind of followed Edgar Casey's ideas and things too. I always thought he started it. Until I was older, I found out, oh, he didn't, but I thought it was him. But anyway, so having all of that in my background, I was, things, all of my, I guess my personality very bouncy and open, um, and my creativity has always been very strong. Writing, not I could never draw, but later in life learned to paint. My whole family's musical, so all the creativity is always there. So I've always been an open channel for that. And when my helpers spoke to me when I was really young, it was confusing, and it scared my mom because I mean, I was too young for schizophrenia or anything like that, but she explained what that was. So that's it. I'm never going to say that again until I
Well,
was
that
older.
was lucky that you had a mom that was open to that kind of stuff.
Well, my dad mostly was. My mom was more. She was what you would call Episcopalian here. This was in Canada. She was Anglican.
I'm an
Um,
Episcopalian.
are you? Oh,
that,
girl.
yeah,
Well,
well,
what a surprise.
you got to be
Well,
something, I guess.
I as a teenager, I still searching for all of that.
Hmm.
I did become Episcopalian. However you
Well, I was
I was
baptized
confirmed.
into
I
Episcopalian,
was
but
Yeah, I was baptized Anglican and then um, started. What do you call it when you confirmed when I was
yeah,
15 as Episcopalian? But
yeah.
meanwhile, when I was 8, I thought Jesus came to me, and I was carrying around a picture of Jesus for a long time. And so my dad, at that point, my dad explained to me what he and in high school there was a kind of like a Bible reading class, kids that got together at a church, and my dad was questioning about that because he's thinking of, Moonies and all that stuff, and he was afraid, or Sunnies, which is it? I'm thinking of Soap, that movie, so the show Soap that had Sunnies and Moonies, but that it was some kind of cult, and so he was afraid of that, I guess, because I kind of went overboard on the Jesus stuff. But it wasn't like I told everybody. I mean, it was my own thing. Okay. And then Unity helped me become more of a positive thinker and learn affirmations, and kind of gave me, a way to go. But then later in life, it's still the same thing. I'm still going to work, coming home, but boring, 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 boring life. There's more to life. I don't have time to paint. I don't have, like living in all the don't haves, and I got very depressed at one point, and I just said I'm just going to be happy. And so from then on,
Excuse me.
I got very depressed at one point, and I said I'm just going to be happy from here on. I'm just going to make sure I'm happy. I do something fun every day. Okay. So while that was happening, um, and still speaking with my parents about all this stuff, they're always very open to it, and aliens and whatever. We talk about everything, because I don't know if my helpers are galactic. I think they are. They might be angels. Anyway, I don't want to digress too much, but having all of that tamped down within me, it just made me very depressed. So I wanted to get out of that, and so I read the Seth books that opened me up a lot. I really enjoyed that, and it was more. of what I thought of the universe was. Although I didn't know why I thought that. It wasn't that Edgar Casey said that or that Dolores Cannon said that. Well, I hadn't read her stuff yet. But it was just another way for me to open up, and I really enjoyed the Seth books, but it wasn't giving me like the rituals that I needed, that were coming out, coming out asking things, asking me do this, do that. I didn't know why, say hello to the sun, thank the grass, things like that, that would I would hear, and so I would do these things, but I didn't tell anybody. Yeah, because you're crazy. And I did do candle staring for a while in meditations like that, and um, brought through some people that had passed in my life, and things like, so. I've always been doing this, but then it was when my dad passed. After he died, I realized, well, the day after he came back, actually, the first one in the family. He said he was so proud to have come back. He came back in the way of a candle, a battery operated candle lighting, in the cabinet up here behind me, that hadn't been used in years. And the batteries, when I opened it up, the batteries were dead. So I don't know how that could have
So,
happened.
so can I ask you how you like knew that that was your dad?
Well, I was talking to my brother on the phone at the time, and I said to him, I was like facing the cabinet, and I saw the light. It just started to pulse, and it just got stronger and stronger as we were talking about dad, because I was telling him how, how mom, what, because we're mom's still here, what are we going to do, that kind of thing we're talking about. And I told him how dad died, and when he died, I felt kind of like a rush of something come at me, and I didn't know what it was. If it's him sending me all his musical talent, or I don't know. I still to this day don't know what it was. I just felt it, come to me, and maybe it was just his soul leaving. But I felt euphoric. And I thought at the time, this is crazy. Why are you, he's dying? He's gone. You're never going to see him again after this day, and why are you euphoric? So other people have talked about that happening. I didn't know where he went or felt, saw it like some people will see it in their head. So I wonder if maybe I was just carrying him. And so I brought him home, and he, as I was talking to my brother, he wanted to let us both know he was here, and that light lit up. And I said, remember those? And I told my brother, remember the battery candles mom had 100 years ago? We haven't used in at Christmas forever. And he was like, vaguely. I said, well, one of them just lit up and it's pulsing. And we both at the same time said, hi, Dad. It was like we both knew. And yeah, I'm getting goosebumps now. And we both got goosebumply. And so after that, it kind of, I started reading the Edgar Casey's and the books he left, and I realized he had Abraham Hicks, Wayne Dyer, um, um, oh, who else? Greg Braden. He had all. He was awakened, and nobody knew. He didn't tell us. He didn't. He talked about these things, but he was very private. So I had all this stuff to read and enjoy, and I open up my brain that he had left behind, and open my heart and to heal my heart, because it was really tough. It's hard to lose a parent, um, and and then at that point I opened myself up. Long story, but I began with local psychic fair, and I felt like my dad had kind of guided me there. And so I was, do reading cards, whatever, helping people. And then during the pandemic was when I opened up the Facebook page New Light Connection for anyone who wants to go. It's called
So
New Light
can I
Connection.
ask what gave you the idea to do that?
I had missed all of the people that were in the psychic fair with me. Everything closed down, and I really went to the fair to talk to them more than to make money. And I mean, I went there to help people. Obviously, that's like my main mission
What
in
so
life.
what can I ask what I hate to divert, but what did you do at the psychic fair?
I read cards, and I learned a lot from other people. It was like everybody set up a table and did their thing. There were, palm readers. There were people selling, um, like a
Yeah.
rush
Yeah,
kind of
but
thing.
you just you
I read cards. I read people's
wow,
cards.
cool.
And also I met a girl who was a shaman, and this was I had another friend who was a shaman, and I that's a whole other story. And I always said I wanted to become a shaman, so I was trying different energy things, and I forget who it was, reading shaman things online and trying to open up my own, and then I found that's when I found on the Shift Network.
Hmm.
I found Puma. Um, he was a Peruvian shaman, and I've done like 6 or 7 of his classes. And in one of the classes, he blessed us all to be Mesa carriers. That's why I have the Mesa up above my head here. And that really helped me a lot. It put a lot of structure and ritual, and that just really opened up everything to where anytime I would hear anything, I could hear it more distinctly. I didn't know where it was coming from, but I knew it was a good thing because I was always in a higher frequency. Shamanism uses like all 9 dimensions for healing. And this is something Mateus De Stefano has said on Gaia, which surprised me when I first saw it. But I understand it. You're using all the elements and essences of the earth and the universe really. Um, and it's hermetic principles really put into practice is what it is to me. So that helped me a lot. And then I kept hearing, or as I was meditating, started meditating a lot. And as I was meditating, things would come to me. I would hear them in the voices of whoever I was um, learning with at the time. Or if I watched something about, oh, I can't think of his name, the Yogananda. And the
Okay.
next day, everything that came into me was in his voice and his inflection, and I was like, "Why is this? What is happening?" And then I heard other things, and then I said, "Okay, I gotta figure out what this is." So I started automatic writing, and it's like, "Who are you? Why are you here?" kind of a thing, and that turned into where it was finally that my guides were there. The first one that came through was my grandfather, and who's been gone. He died when my dad was in high school. I've never met him. Although I did get to tell my dad that I thought he came to me in meditation, and I asked him, what did he sound like? What did he look like? And he was like, I was 15 at the time, and here my dad's 90. He said,
Hmm.
I don't remember, but he said, that what you're saying sounds like that could be right, but only you can know. And that was when I went, okay, well, I think it is. And then it was like grandpa was like, yay. So grandpa started sending a whole, and he's the one who said, sit down, let's write. And the first thing that I wrote was hello love, which is he's British, so that's what he would say. Hello love. And of course I started crying and get it all upset. And so he helped me through to um, to do more channeling. Not that I channeled him; it's more like he's here helping me. He's always on my left side, I guess. What is that? The south, I guess, where your spiritual guides would be, as according to shamanism, Peruvian shamanism. Anyway, and so he kind of helped me write more and kept saying in the writing, someone else wants to speak to you. And I was like, who is it? Is it dad? And he's like, someone else wants to speak to you. So I said, okay. And that was when, at that point, I could hear the words in my head rather than writing them down.
Wow.
And I'm just remembering that at this moment because I never remembered how this happened. Thank God I can now remember what happened. So then at that point, he's like, you need to channel every day. So so I did that. I just kept doing that, and now I have New Light Connection, which I started, like I said, with the psychic people, trying to get closer to people during the pandemic. Excuse me. And then it turned into they didn't want to do much anymore once that stopped. And they said, you have ideas. Why don't you just go with it and set it up yourself? So I did. And, posting things here and there. And mostly I share things from other places on Facebook, just trying to give people more positive outlook and awakening. And then I started posting the channels. So I do a channel every week and I write it out. I post it. I have done a couple videos here and there of channeling, but I haven't. I think I only posted one, but I'd like to do more. I really would. So mostly that's what I'm doing. And then while I was channeling last summer, my helpers asked me if I wanted to write a book because I said, I like this. They said, "What is?" They're asking the same things that Bashara says. What is your passion? What would you like to do if you could do anything? What would you like to do? And I said, "Well, I've always liked to write. I would love to write a book." And they said, "Would you like to write a book with us?" And I said, "Yes." And I was filled with love and just that euphoric feeling that comes when everything is connected. And so I just channeled that, and now I have it in PDF form, and I'm hoping to get it published in book form soon. So,
And what is it about?
oh, well, that would be good to explain.
Just thought I'd
Book
ask.
on my book, but you don't know what it is, but it's really good.
It's such a good book. You're
It
gonna love it.
is. It is. It is that what they want to do is to connect to us, and so they may assist us through all of these changes that are happening. They've been here. They've always been here, but now, like I know personally that this is why I'm here, um, because I want to help people through these changes myself. And I believe they're part of my spiritual team, and that I'm the one who was chosen to be on earth, and they're the ones up there saying, what do you want to do next, and we'll set everything up so it works out so that you either learn something or that you grow, because the learning thing is that's why we're here.
Yeah. That just doesn't stop.
I know it never does. So yeah, so the book it's really set up to tell for beginners who have never even maybe never meditated even. But even people that are, really good at not they meditate every day, and maybe they've never been able to connect to anything else. If they read the book, there's a certain point in the book where they say, "Now you may call on us," but they ask that you don't call on them unless you're in a high vibration and you've been eating the right foods, etc. That doesn't mean you can't have good stuff that you like to eat. It just means different. Excuse me. Because I don't want to turn people off from saying, "Oh, if I'm gonna have to eat right, I don't want to do
Yeah,
it."
I try to eat well, but I don't have the willpower. My I just don't.
That's a part of
Just
that's a part of what they can help you with and what they've helped me with. They've taught me moderation. In my life, I've had anorexia, and I've been 100 pounds overweight. It's all, and I love food. And well, there's nothing wrong with loving food. That's what part of what we're here for, to
Mhm.
enjoy food. Just don't over enjoy. But They have helped me learn, moderation in these things. So
Yeah.
they've helped me so much.
Yeah, one
And
of the things I always do when I'm eating food that I know I'm not supposed to is I will just love that food to death.
that's right. There you
Just,
go. Love every bite.
that's right.
And be thankful for it. And if you start to feel, the reason that a lot of those foods do hurt us is because we are mad that we're eating them at the moment you're eating them, so your body isn't going to accept them in a good way. So you
Mhm.
have to there, and that's in the book too. And how, not just how to meditate, but what to meditate on. What rituals, they don't give you rituals, but they want you to incorporate whatever rituals you use into connecting with them, because it's what you're used to using when you sit down to pray or meditate or whatever it is, whatever rituals you use, whether it's the Lord's Prayer or whether it's Om, or whether it's my cosmic mother, cosmic father, whatever it is that works, they want us to use that. And they do. They know the human condition somewhat, so they know that we like that aromas will help. So sometimes it's the incense, a candle. They give us all different ways that we can do this. And then there is like two or three steps of asking them and pulling them in. that, you know, will help you connect to them. And even if you don't hear them, they're there. If you have done all this, they're there and they will assist you. You just have to find who and where they are. They it could be, you know, it could be something that you're a song on the radio, it could be a synchronicity. And then the more that you connect with that, eventually you should be able to feel at least, or, you know, hear them. And they can help you heal. They have brought me other ascended masters. They brought me Zadkiel, who is an angel that heals. They brought me, I think it might be myself, but they brought me an Egyptian healer that has a sistrum, like my sistrum. That's why I got the sistrum. And, you know, teaching and guiding me towards vibration for healing, sound, you know, things. They're very helpful. They're just very helpful. They never tell you what you have to do. They never say, they'll say, "Do you want to?" And if you say yes, then they're on it right then. You know, you'll see things right away and immediately. So yeah, so you can purchase the PDF book at newlightconnection.com, my website. Oh, what else?
And you're
And
going to post that in the show notes.
I will post it in the show notes, and I'll post my links. The New Light Connection on Facebook. I'll post that link, and you can connect me with me personally through our email at it's your time or newlightconnection at gmail.com. And my YouTube page, New Light Connection, there are some old videos on there of me reading cards 100 years ago, and I just I never got rid of them because they someday, I mean, when I did it at that moment in time, maybe the person who's going to see it isn't for another year, but it was, you know, the angels, the guides, whatever, know what's going to happen. And that was the other thing that they in the book they were giving it to me. It seemed very elemental to me, so that people that are more advanced may want to skip through some things. um, but they said it has to be this way because they have seen who's going to be reading it in the future. So they have to word it in a way that the people that are going to be reading it will understand it. And I was like, okay, that's really cool. I love that. And I love them so much, and they're, you know, they're with me all day long, every day, and they, like I said, they totally understand the human condition, and they do not judge or anything. They love me unconditionally. They love everyone unconditionally. So you would have a great, it would be such a spiritual lift for, you know, for anyone to be able to connect with the helpers.
You know, that's what's so interesting about hearing other people's journeys is like they're all so different, you know, and we all connect so differently and we all have our own experiences. And it doesn't mean one's right and one's wrong. It just means it's, you know, it's infinite of the amount of ways
Infinite,
that are
yeah.
available to